All right, so this video will show you how to run your loader, which means filling in all those course requests into the sections you created in the option set. So I'm in the 2019 school year for me, and that's because this is the last year I built semesters, and I think it's easier to look at it for semesters or with semesters if you've never done this before. So this is my main option set for that year. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Looks like this. You want to make sure you checked it out in your name. If you didn't, then all these options are grayed out and you can't run the loader. So make sure it's checked out in your name. And the options start here where it says enforce the following rules. So I don't have teacher preferences here. I pretty much just assign teachers to the course, to the period, to the term. So I don't use that. I don't use co-requisite or prerequisite options. Some of them are built in the Synergy, but they're not accurate, so I say no enforcement. We're good. Counselors check those anyway. I do check the box here that says allow alternate course requests. Those are pretty much for my electives, so yes. Global is if you have an alternate course for a group of students. I'm not even sure how you would do that. I don't do it, so I don't use it. A room seat limit, it's grayed out. It's something that I don't even know how you'd even get into and change. That's if the room itself that you would program here had less than the number of seats that you have for a max for this particular room. I don't use that. We're good. I guess you could always change the class size max in a room to match the number of seats if it's limited in a room. All right. Term override or check term preference. That's if you're building a section, you have this term exclusion. I don't put term exclusions. Um, you may want to, though, if you have a course you don't want to be in semester one or semester two. Those are all the courses ending with a DPC code of a 3. Um, I don't do that, but if you did, you could do it there. Student and teacher restrictions. Uh, Restrictions are mean courses you don't want them in. These are maybe a teacher didn't want these students, or you don't want certain students with certain teachers. I don't do that, so I don't use those. So you have your house and your teams. You've already created them. So your houses are uh, a group of courses that your certain students can go into. I do create those like for team top courses. So I do see automatic house enforcement. Teams are groups of students that stay together either in the same course, the same period, with the same teacher or the same semester. All your courses should be teamed your first semester and second semester. That's because if your kids with a certain teacher semester one, then that same kid should be with that same teacher semester two. So yes, you will do automatic team enforcement. I say schedule all the duplicates. It increases my load. Counselors go through it anyway. You shouldn't have any duplicates at this point anyway. Um, for the max class size, I do go over the 35. And you're probably asking, well, why do you do that? And it's because I'm not balancing at this point. Remember, balancing is at the beginning of the semester, you have 2 weeks to balance, and counselors will balance. So it's okay to go over 35 because you have that 2 week window in the union agreement to do so. So I do it by 20%. It gives me a couple of extra kids in each course. It increases my load and increases the chance of those kids getting into those courses. I do the performance schedule optimization. Let's say a kid isn't fully scheduled. Synergy will go back and look over those schedules over and over again to make sure that they are fully scheduled. It just forces Synergy to take additional looks at those student schedules that were difficult to schedule. Over here we have balance and sequence options. I always run it from grade high to low because I want my seniors to have um, preference in their courses because they're the closest to graduate, so they should have preference. I don't sequence it by difficulty, random, or by alpha. I guess you could do it by difficulty, um, but it doesn't really change anything. I've tried it before. Um, course request sequence, you can do it by difficulty, or if you schedule certain courses to have priority, which I haven't, and then by difficulty. Um, I've tried this. It doesn't really improve the balancing and the load, so I just leave them blank. Balance option, you have a couple options. You always want to balance by total students, but you also might want to balance by gender. Because when I did my course request, there was already a balancing by gender. I always do it just by total students, and I look at gender after the load, and I never have any problems. But if I did, what I could do here is go to advanced balance options, and as you can see here, I've already programmed it in. So you can click add here, create a line. I have it for the highest priority by students. You could also do by gender as the highest priority, and the second one by total students. You get the same percentage, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm not doing that option. I always do it by total students. You get a much better load that way. All right, so the next section, exclude the following students. When you're running the loader for the first time, you're always leaving these unchecked. All right. If you are having issues with a certain grade level, maybe you just want to run it for a certain grade level, or houses. You don't want to process one of the houses. Maybe you want to input those kids in manually, like Avid or Team Taught, which I don't recommend doing because it's a lot of work and you can make mistakes. And then your teams. You always want to process your team. So, all right. You always want the kids to be in the same class first semester and the second semester with the same teacher. And you can also program teams to be the same period as well, because certain classes are have the same teacher in different periods. It's all about how you program your teams. Down here it says lock schedule for skip students. So you may have programmed certain student schedules ahead of time, or do not process fully scheduled students. Let's say you ran the loader and got 50%. You went in and changed some things, but the kids that were loaded, you want them to stay with the classes they were preloaded with in the last run, so you can check that box. I never do that because it does mess with the balancing. I always want the loader to do a fresh run with all students after I make changes in it. It creates less issues. All right. So the next thing I do is click on schedule now, this button. I've already run the loader, so here are my results. So out of all my kids, this is the number of kids who were loaded, 2,866. So I see I had 177 with rejects. I had 8 kids that Synergy went back and looked at their schedules again, optimized them to give them full schedules. And I see that 94.18% of my kids were scheduled, which is good. That's actually a very good percent. All right. And that's how you run the loader.